Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Matiullah Khatak, teaching you English. Now that you have learned the whole chapter, I have a dream in detail. You need to understand the questions properly. These are the questions which are given at the end of the chapter, and they are very important from examination point of view. You must know that you are given 9 short questions in the exam, and you are expected to attempt 7 out of them. Each question carries 4 marks. You can get these 4 marks if your question is void of all kind of mistakes, like grammatical mistake, spelling mistake, writing irrelevant material, or excessive use of words. I mean to say lengthier responses. You should keep all these things in mind while attempting these questions, especially. Listen to these questions with attention and try to write them down in your notebook and do a thorough practice and try to send them to my WhatsApp number. Now let us give a thorough reading to the questions. The first question is who does Dr. King refer to by the epithet a great American? So the word epithet, as I had already discussed in the beginning of this chapter, epithet means name replacement. Name replacement means a substitute for a name. For example, Muhammad Ali Jinnah is the good name, but we call him the great leader, Qaid-e-Azam. So, Qaid-e-Azam or the great leader is an epithet for Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Similarly, great American is an epithet for Abraham Lincoln. His full name, good name, was Abraham Lincoln, but he, in the opening paragraph of his speech, uses this epithet for him, the great American. So, let us explain this expression. By the epithet great American, Dr. King refers to Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln remained the President of the United States from 1861 to 1865. So he remained the President for 5 years. He believed in the equality of men. King says that 100 years ago, Lincoln signed Emancipation Proclamation. It is because of this Emancipation Proclamation that he calls him the Great American, because they were given their due rights, they were given equal rights to the other citizen of the state. This proclamation means declaration, announcement, that the Negro would be free and they would get their rights. It was indeed a momentous decree, a very important order signed by Abraham Lincoln. So this question, look at the length of the question, look at the vocabulary of the question, the tenses, who does, King says. So keep the tenses. Dr. King refers. You cannot say Dr. King referred. So look at the tense, the vocabulary, the use of word, and the length of the question. You should try to frame your question according to this one. So after question number 2, after reading the first paragraph, can you guess what the Emancipation Proclamation might mean? After going through the first paragraph, what Emancipation Proclamation might mean? It has been already clarified that Emancipation Proclamation was an announcement, a declaration which gives equal right to the black American. So the Emancipation Proclamation was a presidential order. He was a president and he issued this order signed by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863. It promised that millions of black men living in America would be free. They would not live as slaves anymore. They would enjoy equal civil rights as citizens of America, just as the white men do. According to Dr. King, this momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope. It was a great ray of hope for millions of Negro slaves who had been seared. Seared means who had been burned. Burned by what? In the flames of withering injustice. So they were facing extreme sort of injustice, withering injustice, burning injustice, extreme sort of injustice. When this proclamation was signed by, this Emancipation Proclamation was signed by Abraham Lincoln, it was a great ray of hope for them. It was a great beacon light of hope for these Negroes people. So, question number 3, how does King describe the life of Negro in the US after 100 years? The Emancipation Proclamation. Look at the vocabulary, the start of the question. It should be written in capital. The proper nouns should be written in capital. The Negro, the USA can be written with the dot in the middle. So keep these rules in mind. Every sentence should begin with a capital letter, and proper nouns should be are those nouns which are used to represent a class, a community. They should be written in capital. They make a good impression, otherwise they lead to a bad impression. So talking about the miserable condition of the Negroes in the US 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Dr. King says there is no comma, no inverted comma, so you should try to follow the same sentence pattern over here, that they are not free and do not have equal rights like the whites, the blacks, the whites. The Constitution of America states that all men, so note the spelling, all men, not M-A-N, it is M-E-N. All men are created equal and that all men have the right of freedom. But in reality, the Negroes are deprived of all the rights of citizenship. They are leading the life of an exile. Exile, as I had told you, one who is banished from his country, किसी को जलावतन कर देना. They are living like people who had come from another country. They are still the victims of racial discrimination. Discrimination, difference on the basis of a race is called racial discrimination. So this is the tragic fact that he told the people who are standing in front of him. The question number 4, why is 1963, according to Dr. King, not an end but a beginning? A beginning of what? He told in his speech that this day is not the end but the beginning of this moment. So what does it mean? Let us see. According to Dr. King, 1963 is the beginning of the protest against racial discrimination, injustice, hatred, and inequalities between whites and blacks. He says that the Negroes should continue their struggle until they establish equality. Until they establish equality, until they get equality, peace, and brotherhood in America. According to him, the Negroes are still deprived, mahroom hai, of the rights they were promised. So they should continue their struggle until they get those rights. He said that it is a beginning of a revolt against oppression of Negroes on large scale. So it is the beginning against what? Against the oppression imposed on Negroes on a large scale. So let us see the next question. The next question is what is Dr. King's advice to the black people while marching on the road to freedom? Marching on the road to freedom, they were heading towards freedom. So what was his advice to his people? Dr. King advises. So you should not write advices. This is advice, this is advice. It should not be written with the CES. This one is noun, this one is verb. My advice to you. So this one is noun. My advice, I am using my with advice, but you cannot use my with advice. My advice to you is that you should work hard. So he advised me to work hard. This one is verb, this one is noun. You cannot use my with advice. So advice is, if you write over here, that will be a wrong expression and you suffer reduction of 1 mark for it. So it creates a bad impression. Dr. King advises black people not to be guilty of wrongful deeds. You should not do anything wrong. While marching on the road to freedom, they should show patience and move on peacefully. Show patience and move on peacefully. Continue your movement peacefully. He says, so he should be written in capital. He says, comma, inverted comma. You follow these rules. It will make your writing beautiful, create a good impression, adorns your writing. So let us not seek to satisfy. These are quoted words. They are the same words as spoken by him in his speech. That's why they are written with the comma and inverted commas. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We should not create bitterness and hatred while thirsting or quest or thirst for freedom, he tells his nation. He says that they should not use any physical force. They should not use any physical force while destruction. We should not resort to destruction and keep marching on the way to freedom with dignity and discipline. There should be discipline and dignity while marching on the way to freedom. We should not resort to any destructive measure because our protest is a creative protest, as you had learnt in the lesson. The next question, when will the Negro be satisfied or not satisfied according to King? According to Dr. King, they will never be satisfied until they are the victims. So comma, inverted comma, put them over here. Until they are the victims, these are the quoted words of his speech. Until they are the victims of unspeakable horrors of police brutality. Unspeakable horrors, police brutality, police oppression, cruelty meted out to them by the police. Until they suffer it, they will not be satisfied. They will not be satisfied as long as their bodies heavy with the fatigue of travel. Fatigue, as I had told you, the meaning, they are tired with traveling because they were not allowed to travel in buses or the national transport. They used to walk on foot. So he refers to the same condition, circumstances, until they are heavy with fatigue of travel, cannot find lodging in big city hotels. They were not allowed to stay in the city hotels. Get lodging to stay, to get a room in the hotels of the city, they will not be satisfied until they are given right to vote. The right to vote, this was their extreme urgent thing. They needed it the most in order to prove themselves to be the citizen of that state. Till the achievement of equal social status, they were requiring social status, equal social status, and civil rights. So he told them they cannot be satisfied until they get all these rights as enjoyed by other members of the society. So the next question is, Dr. King speaks repeatedly of his dream. What is his dream? Luther King, or you can say Martin Luther King, you can write the full name. Luther King says that his dream is that one day all discriminations and inequality will disappear, will come to an end. All the black men, you can write all the black people, and you can also write all the blacks and the whites. So keep these changes in mind. All the black men and the white men, all the black people and the white people, all the blacks. In the case of blacks, you cannot write men or people. So all the blacks or the whites will walk together as brothers and sisters. He says, so you should not drop the S from says, that it is his dream. You cannot write that it was his dream. He says that keep the sequence of the tense. Says that it is his dream. You cannot write he says that it was his dream. It will be wrong. That one day black people, as you can notice over here, black men, black people, or the blacks will be free. He wants to build a society. He wants, not wanted, not want, not is wanting. These are wrong expressions to be used, especially over here. Where all men will have equal rights, regardless of color. No attention will be given to their color, race, or social status. There will be sweet music of liberty, justice, and equality all over America. So notice America written in capital, the first letter, because a proper noun. The next question is, what does Dr. King mean by this is the faith with which I return to the South? What faith? Faith in what? It means that he has a strong faith that their struggle for freedom will be successful. His faith is to be that their struggle will be fruitful. It will not come to nothing, it will come to something, it will be successful one day. And that really came true. He has faith that one day the chains of hatred, racial discrimination, injustice, so write it as one word, injustice, inequalities will be broken, will be finished, will be removed, will come to end. He has a faith that the new sun will rise with the rays of liberty. So this is the beautiful day when there will be liberty, equality, peace, and brotherhood. He has a faith that one day his dream will come true and black people will get their rights in America. There will be sweet music of liberty, justice, equality all over America. So the next question is, what does Dr. King mean by cashing a check, bad check, and a check that has come back marked insufficient funds? So by cashing a bad check, Dr. King means that the Constitution of America promises equal rights to all citizens irrespective of color and creed. But America has failed to pay its black citizens the rights promised in the Constitution. They are given a bad check, i.e. means that is yani ke false promise. The promise has not been fulfilled in the case of the black people. The Constitution of America guarantees the equality for all, but the black citizens are turned down from getting justice in America. Turned down, they are made hopeless. They are rejected. They are returned. They are not given justice in America. Therefore, Dr. King compares the promises made by America, the American Constitution, with a bad check. So what is a bad check? For example, you go to a bank, you write a required amount to cash it, and the bank's manager tells you that we do not have any money for you, and the check is returned to you without getting the money. You will call it a bad check because the manager has told you that we have insufficient funds or no money or nothing in our account or safe. That kind of check will be called a bad check. So he compares their struggle when they are standing in Washington DC. He compares it to a bank. He says that we have come to our capital. We are asking for our rights, those rights which our Constitution has already given us, but the present regime, present government is telling us that we do not have any rights for you. So he uses the simile, a metaphor. He uses the metaphor of a bank, of a check for it. The bank, the America is very much like a bank, and the check is very much like the rights in this case. What effect is produced by the repetition of the phrase "let freedom ring"? The next question. Don't forget that Dr. King refers to mountain all the time, and when you shout in the mountains, what happens? As I had asked this question from a particular boy, he didn't answer this question. And the question which I framed, which I constructed was, how is it possible to speed up the movement for freedom? How is it possible to speed up the movement for freedom? The same question has been phrased over here is, what effect is produced by the repetition of the phrase "let freedom ring"? So when you are repeating a particular phrase, a particular slogan, it appeals to the mind and the hearts of the people, and that is remembered for a longer period of time, because it adds musicality into your speech. So it is more like a poetry than a prose. Repetition of words or phrase in prose or poetry is called refrain. So you are learning a new terminology over here. Refrain means when you are after 3 or 4 lines or verses repeating a particular verse or line, it is called refrain. Dr. King used it to emphasize the idea of freedom, because he wanted to speed up the movement for freedom. It gives musical equality to the words. When you are shouting on mountains, mountains and mountains again and again, the effects of refrain repetition further increases. So the effect will increase. The listeners remember those words for a longer period of time. So the next question is granting that King knew well his audience, examine the appropriateness of his word choice, his sentence structure, his use of metaphor and analogy. Analogy means comparison. The question And sample word is, do you think, keeping in view the audience, his appropriateness of word choice, his sentences, and his metaphor and his comparison, are they becoming, are they suitable, are they according to the situation or circumstances? So yes, Martin Luther knew quite well. He was well familiar that most of his audience belonged to hilly areas and slums. Slums, as I told you, the areas in the surrounding of the city, the unpleasant area where usually poor people live like the black. Keeping this in mind, he uses metaphors and analogies like the mountains, the bad check. These metaphors are used by him. He uses these metaphor, bad check. The use of refrain also enhances the effects of his words. So he is using these analogies, these comparisons, and these metaphors, similes, because he knew that they will increase the effect of his speech. It will create a kind of force in his speech. The next question is, what is the most prominent structural feature in his speech? What are the most important feature in the structure of his speech? He is using two phrases more frequently than other sentences, and these two sentences may be called refrain because they are used at interval after certain sentences, group of sentences. I have a dream and let freedom ring. I have a dream and let freedom ring. These two phrases, these two expressions are frequently used because he wants to add refrain, to add the effect of musicality to his speech in order to make it more effective, forceful. The most prominent structural feature of his speech is use of refrain. There are two sentences which have been repeatedly used by Martin Luther. One is I have a dream, while the other is let freedom ring. He has used refrain in other parts too. It gives emphasis on a certain topics under discussion, so it creates force in his sentences for a particular topic that is under discussion. I hope you got the main points of the lesson. Try to write it down and practice it thoroughly.